The Munsters was not just another silly 60s sitcom about a family of monsters. It was a groundbreaking cultural phenomenon that pushed the boundaries of television production and created one of the most iconic custom vehicles in entertainment history. Behind that coffin-shaped dragster lurked a production filled with network censorship battles, dangerous stunts that nearly killed crew members, and design innovations that changed custom car culture forever. What you saw on screen was just the polished final product. What happened behind the cameras was a wild tale of determination, ingenuity, and absolute chaos. Today I am revealing 15 weird facts about the Munsters drag law that will forever change how you see this legendary TV hot rod. And stick around for the bonus fact at the end. It involves a midnight cemetery heist that almost landed the show's creators in jail. 1. The unexpected religious backlash. CBS executives anticipated some controversy over a family of monsters on primetime television. What they did not expect was the religious outcry specifically targeting drag law. Within days of the vehicle's debut episode, church groups across America condemned the show for desecrating burial customs and mocking sacred funeral traditions. Over 800 letters flooded the network offices, many calling for immediate cancellation of the series. Several funeral associations threatened legal action, claiming the coffin-based car was damaging their industry's reputation and dignity. The network briefly considered removing drag law from future episodes, but when ratings spiked after the controversy, they embraced the publicity instead. Behind closed doors, producers developed a strategic response, arranging for Al Lewis, Grandpa, to give interviews, emphasizing the show's family values. Not to apologize, but to redirect attention away from the controversial vehicle while it remained a central prop in upcoming episodes already in production. 2. The impossible filming schedule. The Hot Rod Herman episode featuring drag law was originally allocated 7 days of filming, standard for a 30-minute sitcom of that era. That timeline collapsed when the custom vehicle arrived on set 3 days late and significantly different from the specifications in the script. Not minor inconsistencies, but major design elements that contradicted written scenes. What followed was production chaos. The entire episode was rewritten overnight, with writers working in shifts to accommodate the vehicle they actually received rather than the one they had described in the script. Scenes were restaged, dialogues rewritten, and sight gags reimagined, all while the production clock was ticking. The director operated on no sleep for 48 hours straight, fueled by black coffee and the looming threat of enormous budget overruns. The entire cast and crew worked 20-hour days to compensate for the lost time. What audiences did not know was that many of the drag law scenes were filmed with actors who had been awake for so long that crew members were standing just off camera to catch them if they fainted. 3. The hidden symbolic details. Look closely at drag law, and you will discover a vehicle laden with symbolic details that most viewers never noticed. The headlights were not random accessories, they were authentic glass carriage lamps from an actual 19th century hearse. The spiderweb wheel covers contained a hidden pattern that spelled out death when spinning at certain speeds, a subliminal detail that bypassed network censors. Most significant was the hood ornament, a genuine 200-year-old human skull reproduction cast in bronze. The prop department originally wanted to use a plastic model, but Tom Daniel insisted on historical accuracy, commissioning a museum-grade reproduction based on anatomical specimens. Each of these details was meticulously documented in the original design documents, with explanations of their historical significance. However, CBS publicity deliberately avoided mentioning these macabre features in press materials, fearing they would intensify the religious backlash. Instead, they emphasized the car's whimsical nature, creating a public narrative that contradicted the designer's actual dark vision. 4. The stunt driver's secret identity. The driver who performed the most dangerous drag law stunts was credited simply as Jim Smith, a name that appeared nowhere else in Hollywood productions before or since. This was not coincidence or an obscure stuntman's only credit. It was a fabricated identity created to protect the career of a very famous driver. The actual driver was a celebrated NASCAR competitor who was under exclusive contract with a rival network. Taking the drag law job would have violated his lucrative racing endorsements and television obligations, yet he could not resist the technical challenge of handling the unwieldy coffin car. The solution was an elaborate identity disguise, complete with heavy makeup application before he arrived on set. Only 4 crew members knew his actual identity, signing non-disclosure agreements with severe financial penalties. The racing world nearly discovered the truth when a distinctive driving technique visible in one scene prompted questions, but quick editing before broadcast removed the telltale maneuver. 5. The rebuilt drag law that disappeared. Go ahead and like and subscribe because we are about to reveal the bizarre fate of the rebuilt drag law that vanished for nearly 3 decades. After filming concluded, the original vehicle was damaged during transportation to a storage facility. Rather than repair it, the studio commissioned an improved second version for promotional appearances and publicity photos. This drag law 2.0 featured enhanced reliability and safety features absent in the screen-used version. Following the show's cancellation, this second Dragula disappeared from the studio lot. Not stolen in a conventional sense, the paperwork showed it was officially transported somewhere, but the destination details were mysteriously incomplete. For 27 years, the vehicle's whereabouts remained unknown, despite dedicated searches by collectors and automotive historians. The mystery deepened when photos surfaced of the car appearing briefly at small Midwestern car shows during the 1980s, only to vanish again. What audiences did not realize was that one of television's most recognizable vehicles was essentially lost, creating a legendary hunt among collectors determined to rediscover this piece of entertainment history. 6. The explosion. That was not planned. During the climactic race sequence, Dragula backfires with a massive flame burst and smoke cloud. This was not scripted or planned, it was a genuine mechanical failure captured on film. The fuel mixture in the custom engine suddenly ignited improperly, creating a dangerous backfire that nearly caused a catastrophic failure. The director immediately recognized the dramatic value of the accident and kept the cameras rolling. The smoke and fire were completely real, as was the momentary panic visible on the stunt driver's face. What looked like perfect comedic timing was actually a near disaster that engineers later confirmed could have resulted in the entire vehicle exploding if the fuel line had been fractionally different in its installation. The production team seized the opportunity, quickly working the unplanned explosion into the narrative by having Al Lewis record additional dialogue to make the backfire seem like an intentional feature of Grandpa's design rather than a potentially deadly malfunction. Number 7. The unexpected physical toll building. Dragula was not just challenging, it was physically dangerous for the fabrication team. 3 metalworkers suffered serious injuries during the rushed construction process. One welder was hospitalized with second-degree burns after the unusual coffin materials reacted unpredictably to standard welding techniques. Another craftsman permanently lost partial hearing when the confined space of the coffin interior amplified a metal cutting procedure to damaging decibel levels. Most seriously, the lead fabricator developed a mysterious respiratory illness after working with the treated wood and metallic elements of the authentic coffin components. His symptoms puzzled doctors for weeks before they connected them to chemical preservatives used in 1960s burial caskets, substances never meant to be cut, sanded, or heated during modification. The studio kept these incidents quiet through confidential settlements, and production memos reveal they accelerated filming specifically to avoid potential workers' compensation investigations that might have shut down the entire episode. 8. The legal nightmare that almost killed the episode. Dragula did not just push creative boundaries, it crashed through legal ones. 2 days before the episode was scheduled to air, CBS received a cease and desist letter from a major automotive company claiming the vehicle design infringed on patented engine layout concepts. This was not a minor legal threat. It was a potential showstopper backed by a powerful corporation with unlimited legal resources. Network attorneys worked through the night, comparing technical specifications and preparing counter-arguments. The situation escalated when the company obtained advance photos and threatened an emergency injunction that would have prevented the episode from broadcasting. With hours to spare, CBS lawyers discovered the company's patent actually postdated Dragula's design by 3 weeks, effectively invalidating their claim. The company withdrew their challenge but demanded a modified credit in future airings. This last-minute legal battle was so tense that alternative programming was queued up in case the episode had to be pulled, and George Barris kept his phone line open all night awaiting the final decision. 9. The child safety controversy. Modern viewers might be shocked to learn that Dragula scenes involving Marilyn and Eddie Munster required special permits and generated significant internal debate at the network. Child welfare advocates within CBS raised serious concerns about putting Butch Patrick, Eddie, anywhere near the vehicle, citing both physical danger and psychological concerns about children associating coffins with entertainment. The compromise solution was strict limitations on filming. Butch Patrick was never allowed within 10 feet of Dragula while its engine was running, and separate footage was edited together to create the illusion of proximity. More controversially, the network's child welfare consultant insisted that Patrick receive special counseling to ensure he understood the fantasy context of the coffin car, fearing potential nightmares or funeral anxiety. These precautions were not publicized, as the network wanted to maintain the family-friendly image of the show while quietly addressing behind-the-scenes child safety concerns that predated formal entertainment industry regulations. 10. The secret reinforcements required for stunts. What looked like a lightweight racing vehicle on screen was actually a reinforced beast, weighing nearly twice what viewers might expect. The original design proved structurally unsound during early testing, literally buckling under its own weight when put into motion. Engineers frantically reinforced the chassis with aircraft-grade aluminum supports hidden within the coffin structure. These modifications created new problems. The additional weight meant the engine struggled to achieve the speeds necessary for dramatic racing shots. The solution was as dangerous as it was ingenious. Mechanics modified the fuel delivery system to provide short bursts of significantly increased power, essentially turning Dragula into a barely controlled explosion on wheels for brief filming sequences. Stunt drivers referred to this modification as the suicide switch in production memos, refusing to activate it for more than 5 seconds at a time due to the risk of catastrophic engine failure. What viewers saw as smooth acceleration was actually a precisely timed series of these dangerous power bursts, carefully edited together to create the illusion of continuous movement. 11. The authentic hearse components. The production team's commitment to authenticity went far beyond the coffin body. Dragula incorporated genuine components from 5 different vintage hearses, sourced from funeral homes across California. The distinctive carriage handles along the sides were not props. They were authentic 19th century coffin handles with real human handling patina, purchased from a funeral supply company that was liquidating antique inventory. Most remarkably, the vehicle's distinctive burgundy interior fabric was not standard automotive upholstery. It was genuine casket lining material, exactly as used in high-end funerals of the era. The fabric's unusual sheen that catches light so distinctively in close-up shots comes from its silk content and proprietary treatment process developed specifically for burial displays. The production designer insisted on this material despite its cost being 7 times higher than standard automotive options, arguing that viewers would subconsciously recognize something different about the interior, even if they could not identify exactly what made it unique. The funeral industry supplier initially refused the sale until convinced the material would be treated respectfully on screen. 12. The prototype that caused a highway panic. Before finalizing Dragula's design, Barris Custom Industries created a roadworthy prototype to test mechanical concepts and proportions. This early version lacked the finished details but featured the essential coffin shape and organ pipe exhausts. During a necessary highway test drive to evaluate stability at speed, this prototype created an unexpected public incident that nearly ended the entire concept. The test driver took the prototype onto a short stretch of California highway during what was supposed to be a quiet early morning evaluation. Instead, other motorists reacted with panic at the sight of what appeared to be a coffin speeding along at 60 miles per hour. 3 separate drivers called police, reporting a stolen casket or funeral desecration in progress. When highway patrol officers attempted to pull over the unusual vehicle, the driver initially thought they wanted to look at the unique design and pulled over willingly, only to find himself surrounded by drawn weapons. The situation escalated to involve the studio's legal department, requiring network executives to personally intervene with law enforcement officials. The incident resulted in a strict prohibition against testing future versions on public roads. 13. The design that changed hot rod culture. Dragula was not just a television prop, it revolutionized aspects of custom car culture. The organ pipe exhaust arrangement had never been implemented in that specific configuration before, solving complex back pressure issues that had stumped other designers. Within months of the episode airing, custom car shops across America reported customers requesting Munster pipes for their vehicles. More significantly, the hidden structural solutions developed to support the coffin body while maintaining a visually light profile became an industry-standard approach for novelty vehicles. George Barris did not just keep these innovations within his shop, he actively shared the technical drawings with automotive magazines, believing that advancing custom design techniques benefited the entire industry. The most enduring influence came from Dragula's innovative weight distribution system, which was subsequently adapted for legitimate drag racing applications. Several major racing innovations of the late 1960s can be directly traced to problems first solved during Dragula's rushed creation, with multiple patent applications explicitly referencing the television vehicle as their conceptual foundation. 14. The network censorship battle. CBS executives initially rejected the entire Dragula concept, declaring a coffin-based vehicle too morbid for family television. What followed was a 3-week standoff between creative staff and network censors that nearly derailed the entire episode. The network's Standards and Practices Department circulated a memo explicitly prohibiting any vehicle resembling funeral equipment from appearing in the series. Producers mounted an unprecedented challenge, assembling a 47-page presentation demonstrating that the concept aligned with established show mythology while pushing back against what they termed excessive censorship overreach. The breakthrough came when they convinced child psychology consultants to evaluate the concept, who surprisingly concluded that presenting death symbols in a comedic, non-threatening context might actually help young viewers process difficult concepts. This professional endorsement turned the tide. Though the network still imposed strict limitations, the word coffin could never be spoken on air. Specific camera angles were mandated to minimize casket recognition, and all promotional materials had to emphasize the car aspects rather than its funerary origins. 15. The original was deliberately destroyed. The fate of the original screen-used Dragula remains one of Hollywood's most misunderstood prop stories. For decades, collectors believed it was stored in various warehouses or private collections. The truth is far more shocking. It was intentionally destroyed in 1966 shortly after filming concluded. This was not accidental damage or neglect, but a deliberate decision executed with surprising secrecy. The destruction stemmed from an unexpected legal complication. The funeral supply company that had reluctantly provided the authentic coffin inserted a clause in the contract requiring the vehicle's destruction after use to prevent ongoing commercial exploitation of funeral equipment. When the show became a hit and merchandising opportunities emerged, the studio explored challenging this requirement, but attorneys discovered the contract was ironclad. In a private ceremony documented only in a short internal memo, the original dragula was disassembled, with the coffin portion cremated in a specially arranged ceremony attended by select crew members. The remaining custom parts were distributed to various production team members as memorabilia. Every dragula seen since, in exhibitions, recreations, or reunion specials, has been a replica built from photographs, as the original plans were intentionally destroyed alongside the vehicle. Bonus fact. Here's the shocking truth that nearly ended the show before it began. The authentic coffin that formed Dragula's body was not purchased at all. It was stolen during a desperate midnight heist at a Los Angeles cemetery. After exhausting all legal avenues to acquire a casket, a small group from the prop department took matters into their own hands, without the knowledge or approval of senior production staff. The three-person team identified an isolated storage building at a large cemetery where new caskets awaited use. Using production skills for lockpicking rather than filmmaking, they broke in and removed a mid-priced model, replacing it with an envelope containing $400 cash, well above retail value, but without proper channels. The theft was discovered the next morning, prompting a police investigation that came dangerously close to the studio. When executives learned of this unauthorized acquisition weeks later during production, they were horrified but trapped. Filming had progressed too far to replace the central prop. The solution was an elaborate cover story about custom fabrication, substantial donations to funeral industry charities, and the rapid promotion of the team members to different departments to distance them from questions. This incident led to the studio implementing strict prop acquisition protocols that remain standard practice in Hollywood today. What began as a quirky vehicle for a sitcom episode ultimately became one of television's most recognizable props, influencing everything from hot rod culture to funeral industry regulations. Dragula's legacy extends far beyond its brief screen time, living on through replicas, homages, and the generation of custom car enthusiasts it inspired. The coffin dragster did not just race across television screens, it carved a permanent place in American pop culture against all odds, legal challenges, and production nightmares. If you enjoyed these revelations about the Munsters' famous funeral hot rod, hit subscribe for more incredible behind-the-scenes stories that will change how you see your favorite classics. Because in Hollywood, the most fascinating stories always happen when the cameras stop rolling.